Okay, so like we said in the first video on wine, we were putting together a new package for 2020 as far as wines go in the club. And I wanted to give you some alternative red drinking wine as we did with the whites before. And my experience with wines by the glass is at the moment, Napa Cabs are probably the most popular. And nothing wrong with Napa Cabernet, it's fine. Second would be probably, I would think, Pinot Noir at this point, and Malbec being the third. So those are the three hot grapes for wines by the glass. I'd like to offer a couple of alternatives, and the first one I'd like to talk to you about is a wine called Borsal. Borsal is it's a Garnacha, which is really Grenache grape. Grenache grape is used a lot in the Rhone Valley in France. It's used to make Chateauneuf de Pape and Baccarat and certain grapes like certain wines like that. In Italy, it's called Cannonau, and it's grown high mountain ranges in Sardinia for the most part. And there's a lot of it produced in Spain. And this is Robert Parker, who's one of the famous wine critics in the world, said this was the best red wine value on the planet. This will be on the Wine by the Glass list when you first come back to the club, probably at about $8 to $9 a glass. It drinks like it's 20, but it's really pretty inexpensive. It's phenomenal. Grenache has properties of a little bit of a spicy character, and sometimes some overtones of black and white pepper. It has a little bit of that pepper quality in it. I really love it. It's a great cold weather wine, and it pairs real well with meats, braises, short rib, steak, things like that. The second one I'd like to talk about is Cabernet Franc, and I believe Cabernet Franc is going to eventually be the grape that defines Long Island. For years and years and years, it's been Merlot. They grow a lot of Merlot out there, and they do a pretty good job with it. This is from Jamesport Vineyard. My buddy Ron owns that vineyard. He does a great job with Cabernet Franc. And Cabernet Franc is a little softer than Cabernet Sauvignon. And Cabernet Sauvignon is actually a hybrid grape that was a combination of Cabernet Franc and Sauvignon Blanc, hence the name Cabernet Sauvignon. So this is really the father of Cabernet Sauvignon. And if you taste it, the ones that are grown on Long Island are really, really good representatives of the grape. Long Island does a tremendous job with Cabernet Franc. And I know there's a lot of people that are still skeptical about Long Island wines, but they've come a tremendously long way in the last 20 years. Pomegnac, where I make my own wines, actually had 16 wines that were rated over 90. So there's world-class wines being made out there. I suggest you take a shot at this. This is a really, really fine drinking wine. It's a little bit different. Like I said, it's softer than Cabernet. It's a little prettier. If you can imagine, if Cabernet Sauvignon and Pinot Noir had a baby, you'd probably wind up with Cabernet Franc. The third wine that I'd like to talk to you about is also made on Long Island, and it's a wine called Assemblage from Pomegnac. And Assemblage really refers to kind of like the Bordeaux blend. The Bordeaux blend has 5 grapes. You have Cabernet Sauvignon, you have Merlot, you have Cabernet Franc, Malbec, and Petit Verdot. Those are the 5 wines that are usually blended together in Bordeaux. This has all 5 of those grapes in it. Now, I personally believe that the blends, to me, are greater than the single wines like 100% Cabernet, 100% Merlot. And I liken it to the Beatles. The Beatles are an interesting band because if you separate the 4 of them, and you have John Primal screaming with the wife, and Paul killing diabetics with his lyrics, and George, riding around with Krishna somewhere, and Ringo's kind of like comic relief. They're all kind of sort of ordinary on their own. You lock those 4 guys in a room and magic happens. And it's the same thing with these grapes. I think the blending of the grapes benefits the wine to a great degree. So blends to me are a fun way to experiment with wines. This is a little more expensive. We are going to have this by the glass. It's a little pricier, but give this a shot. It's one of the better blends I've ever tasted from Long Island, and I actually had the first bottle that ever came off the bottling rack, and I believe it was 1998 or 99. And I was trying to save it, but one night it was a bad snowstorm and I couldn't get out, so that was the end of that. Anyway, again, Assemblage, a great blend from Long Island, Cabernet Franc from either the Loire Valley in France. There's some great ones in California and great ones on Long Island. And Borsal, the Garnacha, which is, like Robert Parker said, the greatest red wine value on the planet. So give these a try, check it out, and let me know what you think.